Chapter 15, question 14 asks, why are lipoproteins needed to transport lipids in the bloodstream? So before we talk about what lipoproteins are, let's consider the conundrum here. The blood is mostly made up of water, which is polar. And lipids are, by definition, nonpolar biological molecules. So lipids would not mix with water. The same thing with your blood. The same thing would happen as happens when you pour oil in water. You get water, you pour the oil in, and it all just forms one layer at the top, and they separate, so they don't mix together. Now that can't happen in your arteries, because if it did, your arteries would instantly clog, and you would quickly die. So your body needs a way to transport lipids in your bloodstream, and the way it's devised is to use what are called lipoproteins. Let me show you what those look like. Here's an example of a lipoprotein. In the wall of the lipoprotein, you have phospholipids, and the phospholipids have a polar head. So these green parts here are polar. In fact, we drew phospholipids earlier, and you could see, remember that with the phospholipids, this third branch is very polar. It's a lot of oxygens, and then the amino group has a nitrogen, the alcohol is another oxygen. So that's really polar, and that's going to act as the head, these green heads here. And the two yellow tails that they're showing, those are the nonpolar fatty acids that are there in that phospholipid. So the way that the lipoprotein works is you'll take this, you'll make a ball, and you'll have all the heads face the outside so they can mix with water because they're polar. The tails will all face the inside, and they can face whatever oils or lipids you need to transport around your body because they're nonpolar. So all these letters here are representing lipids, big globs of oils. Here, you'd have the oil in the center. Now this whole thing, if you just had the phospholipids and the oil, it would just be a ball of fat. It'd be like a box with a package in it, but with no postage on it. So the address and the postage is all given by proteins that wrap around the surface of the ball, sort of like band-aids around a tennis ball. And each of these proteins are on the tennis ball. The word for on in Greek is apo. So they're on there, that's why they have the apo term there. And those proteins are acting as sort of messengers, so that as this ball of fat travels around, cells can feel the ball and get a sense of, oh, is this what I need? Is it not what I need? So these are proteins. So you have lipids in the center, and also the phospholipids in the side. You have proteins. Together, they make up what are called lipoproteins. And lipoproteins act as trucks that carry lipids around the highways of your body's arteries. And the reason why you would need these is that lipids are nonpolar, whereas blood is mostly water, which is polar. So by themselves, if you just dumped the lipids that you ate into your blood, they would not mix. Lipoproteins, the structure that we have on the right, that has phospholipids in a row protecting the lipids in the center, and proteins on the outside, lipoproteins, lipids and proteins together, allow them to mix, allow the lipids in your blood to mix as lipids are transported through the bloodstream.